The world stopped for a moment when the news broke. She was the kind of woman who could light up a room with a laugh that felt like a secret shared just with you. But when we lost her at 79, it wasn't her voice that lingered, it was the quiet. A stillness so heavy it felt like the universe was holding its breath. She'd always said she'd leave on her own terms with a story no one could predict. And she did. Her departure wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a whisper that left us all searching for answers. Her presence was everywhere in those first few hours. Old interviews resurfaced, her words floating back like echoes of a life too big to contain. Fans scrolled through her recent posts, looking for clues, a cryptic line about chasing shadows, a photo in soft light, her eyes holding something unspoken. It wasn't just grief that hit us, it was the feeling that she'd been trying to tell us something. Something we missed until it was too late. That the questions started small. A canceled coffee date with a friend. A role she passed on without a reason. A message to a colleague that ended with, "We'll catch up soon." I mean it. Each detail felt like a breadcrumb leading somewhere we couldn't follow. The official statement was brief, almost too brief. She passed peacefully, it said. No cause, no details, just a request for privacy. For someone who'd spent decades wearing her heart on her sleeve, that silence felt like a choice. What was she protecting? What story was she keeping to herself? The world couldn't let it go. Within hours, people were piecing together fragments. Some said she'd been quietly unwell, retreating from the spotlight. Others swore they'd seen her just days before, vibrant and laughing, her signature hat tilted just so. A friend mentioned a script she'd been excited about. Another said she'd grown distant, her calls shorter, her smiles softer. Every story clashed like notes from different songs. Fans turned into sleuths, combing through her posts for meaning. That last image of silhouette against a glowing window, caption, "Still looking for the perfect ending," felt like a letter we weren't meant to open yet. If this story touches your heart, please share it. Let's keep her light alive. Because her story isn't over, it's just beginning to unfold in a new way. Theories spread like wildfire. Online forums buzzed with side-by-side photos, analyzing her expressions, her words. Some saw hints of a secret project she never got to share. Others wondered if she'd known her time was near. Grief and curiosity tangled together, but one truth cut through the noise. Her story wasn't hers anymore. For the first time, the woman who'd always controlled her narrative had left it unfinished. And that felt like a mystery she'd written just for us long before the fame, before the awards. She was just a girl with a dream too big for her small town, born in a modest home. Her father sold houses, and her mother poured her heart into journals and sketches. That's where she found her fire, the need to be seen, not for perfection, but for truth. In her 20s, she packed a bag and left for the city, chasing stages and stories. Friends called it foolish. She called it freedom. She waited tables, lived on grit and dreams, and faced rejection after rejection. Each no only made her hungrier. In tiny theaters with creaky floors, she found her voice. She was after honesty. Casting directors called her too odd, too unpolished, not the leading lady type. But she didn't change. She doubled down, turning quirks into strengths. That's what we loved about her. She made flaws feel like magic. She made vulnerability a superpower. Audiences didn't just watch her, they saw themselves in her. Her big break came unexpectedly, a call for a small role in a gritty crime film, directed by a visionary no one fully trusted yet. She showed up to the audition in secondhand clothes, nerves hidden behind a crooked smile. The studio doubted her, but the director saw something rare, a quiet strength that didn't need words. Opposite her co-star, she was a spark in the silence. Their scenes weren't loud or showy. They were raw, heavy with unspoken pain. Her eyes carried the story, and the world felt it. That role changed everything, turning a struggling actress into a name no one could forget. She returned for the sequels, each time digging deeper into a character torn by love and loss. But the role that defined her came later, in a film that felt like a mirror to her soul. Written by a collaborator who knew her better than anyone, it wasn't just a story, it was her. The clothes, the nervous laughter, the way she stumbled through Lovett was all drawn from her life. On screen, they were electric. Off screen, their bond was messier, a mix of friendship, love, and something neither could name. The film didn't just win awards, it changed how we saw women on screen. Her styled those oversized shirts, that effortless charm became a movement. But beneath it all was a fragility she rarely showed. Being known too well is a risk, she said. Maybe that's why she kept parts of herself hidden. Hollywood in those days was a whirlwind of excess and ego. Stars burned out in public, their lives fodder for headlines, but she stayed above it. No scandals, no spot. She'd wrap a shoot, go home, and lose herself in books or time with her kids. Her co-stars called her fearless, not for grand gestures, but for how she made truth feel effortless. Acting with her was like living a memory, one said. She made fame feel human, and that's why we trusted her. Yet, there was another side. Friends saw the quiet struggles she never shared. She could fill a room with joy and still leave you wondering what she held back. She never married, though her loves were the stuff of legend. She chose independence over fairy tales, adopting 2 children and raising them her way. I didn't want someone else's happy ending, she said. I wanted mine. That honesty resonated, showing the world that strength didn't need a script. Her final posts now feel like a puzzle we can't solve. They weren't dramatic or saw just her in soft light with captions that felt like poetry. A photo in her garden holding an old notebook captioned, "Learning to let go with grace." At the time, it was just another post. Now, it reads like a farewell. Fans flooded the comments with questions. Did she know? Was she saying goodbye? The lack of answers fueled the mystery. Some said she'd been quietly sick. Others insisted she'd been full of life, planning her next chapter. No one knew for sure. And maybe that was her final gift, a story only she could end. In an industry that thrives on noise. Her exit was a masterclass in silence. No leaks, no headlines stealing her moment. Just a quiet departure from a woman who'd always known how to command a scene. As we scroll through her life, those roles, those laughs, those moments that shaped us, one thing is clear. She didn't just leave a legacy. She left a feeling, a truth that lingers in the quiet. So please share her story. Subscribe to keep her spirit alive. Let's honor her by remembering not just the star, but the woman who taught us to embrace our own beautifully imperfect stories.